Hi, and welcome to another video by Get It Done Home Repairs. Today we're going to talk about different ways to attach a pipe. If you have a pipe, now obviously this is just an example, we're not going to be working in the house. I want to show you here in the garage the different ways that you can actually join a pipe together. If you have this pipe and you need to join it to this pipe, there's a couple of ways you can do it. One way you can do it is you can do it the way that it's been done for a long time. You can do a torch, you can use solder, flux, and some sandpaper and some fittings, and you can join them together. Joining it together like that is probably the least expensive way to do it, and to me it's a more durable way of repairing it. Okay, now if you had to cut the pipe to make it fit in there, I just want to show you how you can do it. There's a tool like this. There's lots of different tools out there, but this is the one that I use to cut a pipe. Basically what you're going to do is you just open this up, you take the pipe, put it around the pipe such as this. I'll get it in here first and I'll bring you in closer, I'll show you what I'm doing. You would take the pipe cutter and you would actually put it on the pipe just like that. Now you don't want to tighten this handle down real quick and crush the pipe and make it oval shaped. You want to just turn a little bit and then rotate it. And it puts a small groove into it. Then you would turn it again, a little tighter, and then you rotate it. What that's doing is cutting into the pipe. Little by little, it'll cut into it. And you do it very slowly so you don't walk all over the place. All right, so each time you just tighten it just a little bit more. You don't go too tight because, like I said, you don't want to make the pipe oval or flatten it out or anything like that. And you can see it actually cuts it nice and smooth, so that way the pipe itself is not oval shaped. It still fits onto the fitting nice, just like that. Now before you solder it, you would actually come in here with this tool here, and you have a slight little ridge inside here from using the cutting tool. You come in with this tool here and you just hone it about a couple of times just to clean up any kind of lip that may be on the inside. Alright, and that's it, and that's how you would cut the pipe in anticipation of soldering the pipes together with either a coupling or with the fitting such as this. Okay. This tool it's actually used, it's called a pipe cutting tool. They have them in all different dimensions and diameters, but this is the one that I use here because I like this one because it opens up. It'll do it'll do 1/2 inch, it'll do 3/4, it'll open up fairly large. That's why I like this one here. Versus the other one, which is much smaller, which is a tool such as this here. This is actually much smaller. That's why I like this one whenever I'm doing household plumbing at all. The way I would do it is, like I said, you'll take a fitting such as this. Now, the preparation is very important whenever you're doing any kind of solder work. Okay, solder work is very important, that it's very clean, so that when you join everything together, the flux will actually draw the solder in, so it'll actually seal it up perfectly. So what we're going to do is we're going to clean the outside, we're going to clean the inside, and then we're going to clean the pipe. You can use some emery cloth or any kind of sandpaper, very fine grit, and basically what you do is you just put it on here, and we just clean it up a little bit. Now, as you can see, it is made of copper, so this is what it looked like before I started sanding it. And this is what it's going to look like after I finish sanding it. So let me finish sanding it up here, and I'll show you what it's going to look like. Okay, so now we have everything cleaned up really well with our emery cloth. We have this part of the pipe that we're going to solder nice and clean. We also cleaned up our fitting that we're going to solder on there. Now, whether it's a straight fitting or an angled fitting, or if you're joining pipes together, it's going to be the same thing. So let me show you how to solder this one together, and then I'll show you how to join two pipes together with this one over here. All right, so now that we have everything nice and clean, you're going to use either a brush or your finger, whatever you want to, you're going to put in here, you're going to put some flux inside this portion right here. We're also going to put flux on the outside here, just like that. Now obviously if you have a brush, you can use that. And the part that we're going to solder, again, we're going to put it on here just like this. Every place that you're going to solder, you want to make sure you have a good amount of flux on it. Alright, now what you're going to do is you're going to take your fitting, put your fitting on, make sure it's down all the way, and you can see all the flux on here. That's a good thing. Alright, and we're just going to connect this up over here just so you can see. Now whether you use propane or you use MAP, it really doesn't really make too much of a difference. MAP gas burns a little bit hotter than propane, so it will heat the pipe up a little quicker. Now what you're going to do is after you have this all together here, you're going to come underneath the bottom. We're going to heat the bottom of the fitting here. We're going to heat the bottom because, as you know, heat rises. So if you heat the bottom, it'll actually melt it up on top as well. So we're just going to come underneath the bottom. We're going to heat the joint up itself right here. You want to make sure you have something under it because the flux will drip onto whatever you're working on. That's why I have a piece of sheetrock underneath here. Alright, so we're going to heat it up. We're going to take our solder and we're just going to run our solder on here. And as you can see, it's very hot already. So we're just going to do this, and you can see the flux is pulling the solder right into the joint. Just like that. Shut this torch off, and as you can see, the solder just pulls right into the joint itself. So it's sealed all the way around, like that, and that's it. Now after this thoroughly dries off, or once the solder here dries, then we're going to come in and we're going to wipe off all of the excess flux that's on here. But that's how you would solder the pipes together. The most important thing whenever you solder a pipe is you have to make sure that all the surfaces are clean. The inside of the pipe, of the fitting, the inside of the fitting, the outside of the fitting, and the pipe that's going into the fitting. After you clean it off with the emery cloth, you have to wipe it down with a rag so you have all that off. Put a little bit of flux on there, and then you can solder everything back together. Now during the time that we're talking here, I'm sure that this pipe is actually dried up pretty thoroughly so that we can come in here and we can take off any kind of flux that you might see on here just to clean it up a little bit, just like this. Now obviously it is going to be pretty warm still, so you want to be careful that you don't burn yourself, but you want to take that flux off just like that, and that is how you solder the pipes together. Alright, so personal preference, whether you use the shark bites or you use the fittings to actually join it together. This way is the least expensive way. The shark bites are a little bit more. Like I said, this one is about $8. Now this one I think was probably about $10. Where the fittings to join this one together here, if you wanted to join pipes together or if you wanted to have an elbow in there, they cost you probably under $1 for each fitting. So that's it. That's how you solder pipes together. Now whether it's here on the bench or you have them in your house, it's the same exact procedure. The only thing I will say is if you are soldering anything inside the wall and you have a beam over here or a beam over here, make sure that you use something behind it so that you don't set it on fire. A lot of times what I'll do is when I'm working in an area that's close to a piece of wood, let me show you what I do. I have a small piece of stainless that I actually put up behind it like this as a heat shield so that it doesn't actually hit into any of the wood. But that's it. That's how you would join them together. Personal preference, shark bites or soldering. I prefer soldering. Alright, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.